The world is in a massive transition. Are you prepared? Hi, I'm Reverend Tracy L., and I am here to help you navigate through these uncharted waters. Many experts told me it was not possible to repair, regenerate, and restore my body. I proved them all wrong. Isn't it time for you to reclaim what is rightfully yours? If your answer is yes, then I invite you to join me while I will help you embrace the new earth and unlock your unlimited potential. Let's connect every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on the Tracy L. Clark Show, as featured on Transformation Talk Radio. The old ways of connecting are done, so let's embrace together the new and unleash the superhuman within.
Wow, another week has gone by and it's almost the end of the month. Easter is quickly approaching. Things are shifting. Things are changing. I hope you all made it through the last weekend with the beautiful moon that we just passed, which is all about, what is it? Letting go of old information, old imprints. So moving from institutional to people, people are winning. Don't you second guess that. We are winning. We are rising and we're moving into new spaces. It's really, really important, and you hear me say this week after week, stay in your space, in your empowerment, and that's what we're moving to, and it's really exciting. So before we get to some fun today, I'm calling it our friendship hour, which we're probably going to have more of these because nothing better than being with friends. A lot of people in our communities say, I don't even know, my friends have changed, my family, I don't even know what that means anymore, and this is part of evolvement, this is part of shifting, so it's going to be laid back, fun, and we are going to have a really good time. I just want to remind everybody that on April 7th, I am hosting a free webinar. It's with our friend Jeremy Wiseman, who has been on our show here. We're going to be talking about supply chains, why gold and silver seems like the one in the park that nobody wants to play with right now. What's happening, what's going on there, and what is shifting in our reality that you want to be aware of. So it is on Instagram, Tracy L. Clark. You can get the link. The link will also be on my website very soon, as we have been changing so many things around. So we get a little behind sometimes as well, but share it, enjoy it, and you're going to not want to miss that one. It's going to be really important. So I want to welcome all of our friends today for our friendship hour. We have Arthi with us, we have Jennifer with us, and we have Mike. They are three of our beautiful community members in Evolutionary Academy and Miraculous Academy. And why have I brought them here today? Because a lot of people want to hear from you guys. They want to hear and they see and they experience it. And you always hear about my journey or where I'm going and why. And creating the community the way we have was because for me, a lot of you here, I went through my journey alone. It was hard. And right now with so many things shifting and changing, God, you can feel like you're alone. You can feel like you're missing and losing all your friends, all your family, and then go, have I grown? Have I shifted? What's really happening? So first, I want to welcome all of you guys here today. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I'm going to actually start with you, Mike, and I want to go there, and then we're going to rotate through. You guys can put up your hand, jump in anytime. Very, very casual. I know, and the reason I want to start with you is because a lot of times when men start on this journey, they have a really weird conception of what it is. And I would love your point of view of what you thought it was to where it actually is, because we are shifting so quickly. And I work with a lot of men, but they tend to stay in the closet. Now, all of us as women, we're like, yeah, let's go. Come on, let's support each other and get out there. But I'd love your perception and what changed when you actually started to get involved with people that were like-minded like you.
Sure thing. I think the biggest thing for me is, and maybe it's not just men, but every person has their own issue or their own set of issues. And I think we all kind of feel like we can just tackle them on our own, or we're too embarrassed to share with other people. So we just go it alone. And those issues or problems just continue to exist. And I think I had reached a point where I was like, enough's enough. I can't do this on my own. I had been with you before and I've been following you. And I was like, okay, it's speaking loud enough now that I need to be a part of a bigger community. to get me through what I need to conquer. And so what I think is the coolest thing about your community is everybody's going through the same stuff. So, whether you want to share or you don't want to share or you're too shy, all of a sudden you start realizing that there's other people within the group that have something very similar to what you're going through. And now you don't feel alone anymore. You feel like, oh my gosh, my problem isn't so heavy. My problem is the same as everybody else. And then as we're working through things, you might have, someone else in the group that's dealing with an issue that isn't related to yours, but the creative solution matches something that you're going through, and you can use that creative solution. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is I didn't understand the power of togetherness and the community and like-mindedness. I've been with you now for 6 months and my life has changed probably, tenfold, but even within the first 30 days, I noticed changes. And 6 months later, I couldn't be happier.
I love what you said. And Arthi, I'd love to get your point of view on this because I've watched you go through this. You said you can't do this alone. And so often, and I know I was like this. It's like, well, who do I want to talk to? Who do I want to bring? And why do I need this community? And shouldn't I be able to do everything myself? Because if I can't do it myself, I must be this big loser that, everybody else seems to do it themselves. And I know I went through that. And Arthi, I'd love to get your point of view on that because I know you went through it as well.
Yeah, so full disclosure, it still comes up. It's so much smaller now. So, and this might not be exactly what Mike's talking about, but my experience is actually a little bit around where your ego and your pride for me are wrapped in. And so there are, like Mike said, there are these ideas of what spiritual community is, what 5D enlightenment looks and feels like. And then, there's a halo around my head and I'm glowing more and I'm de-aging and whatever these ideas we have, there's conflict and I walk in and then just birds start singing, and, maybe all that's great and happening and true. The issue
I have to say it cracks me up because so many people think that's what it is. It's like and the unicorns are coming out. You're going to be riding them tomorrow.
Yeah. And there's just this for me actually one of the hardest things was this misconception of what we get so caught up in what things look like. So, and you press us so much into critical feeling, for example, and what things actually feel like, and they feel messy. And then we realize, we acknowledge, we can transform, transmute, use our words intentionally, energetically. And that's what the change is. It's actually very small. So if you had a camera, if this was a sitcom, nothing would be happening on the outside. Everything's happening on the inside. But our idea and then the pride and the ego are wrapped in that construct. So that hits me even, a few days ago or so on and so forth. And that, I think that is the traps. So the way I see it is we're part of this community. And the idea is that, you're entering this fun house of mirrors so that when that happens, it doesn't last that long. And then you can, someone will say something and you're like, oh, this is not love. This is my misconception, my idea, my pride, my ego, and okay. And then keep sort of moving back.
I love what you said about it transforms inside, and we're taught, right? We're taught to, everything is outside, go hard, work hard, do that. And when we start to do this work and we go in, there are those days and you're looking at yourself and then all of a sudden you start to see, and I know you've gone through this, start to see these transformations outside. And what I also love, and I see it from all of you and so many people in the community, is you'll post something. You did it the other day. You posted something like, I was going to post that. You're like, I second guessed it, right? So we're constantly helping each other. And that's what it is. It's like, and then you get that verification or that validation or whatever's needed. It's like, wait a minute, I need to follow my intuition. I need to follow my feeling, which you all do. It's like, I want to share this. I saw this with something. Mike's in the Evolutionary Academy, him, and we have our things, which is name. he doesn't know this yet, but he submitted something in the homework that somebody else submitted that was almost identical that we're working on tonight. So they're also going, well, I don't know if, but I like looking at these emails, you would have thought they came from the same person. So this is how we know our energies are helping to uplift and empower. And Jen, I know, I want to go actually to you there about that, and we can just jump in and go wherever we like to. We've got this great time you've gone through a lot of different challenges as a single mom, and, you've really been an advocate for children and your own children and moving forward. And just the things that I've seen you go through, like, wow, and I think that I would love to hear your perception as how could you have done that if you were maybe on your own?
Honestly, if, this brings up a lot of emotions for me, but I have to say I am so blessed to be in this community because, as I say it all the time, I don't think if I was in this community, I would have probably exited the planet.
Yeah.
I've been with Tracy's community for a long time, and from the groundworks, as I was talking with another fellow member last night, and we were so grateful because we started in Tracy's living room.
You did. I remember. We had I think 10 of us, right? You were like, what? I remember you coming, what is this? What is this? Because you came from a church background, right? I'm like, you can have whatever you want. We are not telling you, just be free to be you. Yeah.
And at the time when I met Tracy, I was going through every single roadblock you could think of somebody could go through. I was going through a bad separation. My daughter was on the verge of moving out. My family was against me. Friends were against me. I had minor health challenges at the time, and I had big issues with my son in terms of belonging in school. He was placed with lots of labels, lots of challenges. And when we come to the workshops, my son would come and he would feel so welcome. And the people in the community never judged him or saw what the exterior people were kind of blaming or labeling him. And going through all that, I remember there was this one final workshop where everything was just not going. My mom couldn't watch him anymore. I would have to leave work every day to pick him up. And it just kept going. It just kept going. It just kept going. And at the workshop, I said, you know what? This is it. I am just done. I can't manage anymore. This is just too much for me. And I broke down. And Julie came over to me that day and said, no, you can't. And the group did a special healing for me. And the next week, so many resources started coming forward to help. Mind you, I'm still going through that challenge with him. However, it's gotten a little bit more easier because I know what tools to use, whether it's tools within the group. I've also made some connections with people in the ministry, people with other children that are going through the same issues, so I could help them, they could help me. So on that aspect, things have really come around.
Creative solutions, like what Mike was talking about. Oh, I just had a weird deja vu. Okay, it's just very big creative solutions, because when you have a child that is so labeled like that. And one thing I'd like to share, it's interesting because every time your son was at an event, people didn't know he was there. And he remembered everything everybody was saying. He remembers, he will recite it back to you. Such a dream. And I love that because all the creative solutions have been showing up, right? Experts in their field that are looking at something out of the box from what you are normally looking at, right? And being able to help you, being able to help him. And that's what it's about too, right? Being able to bring, as Mike says, all these creative solutions so life can be easier. Life can be more supportive. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Tracy, this is, I think, where I'm pretty sure I've sent you many emails struggling about this over the last few years, but it's also this idea of community, So for me, that had to change a lot. So I think I don't think you had Miraculous Academy on Facebook.
No.
Or I forget now because it was so long ago, but there were these videos, right? And it was a lot of self-work. And I was one of the people who, when you moved it to Facebook or Instagram and all of the stuff you do, I put up all of these, moral, ethical roadblocks, right? Like, oh no, Facebook, bad, whatever, like things that aren't. So there's this community on here, but when I dug deep, it was me simply not wanting to show up there, not wanting to, the things we hear. You don't want to air your dirty laundry. You don't want to have a lot of problems. And I was speaking to another member of Miraculous a couple of weeks ago, and, that was one of her things. Like we're sort of used to curating how we show up. So only when it's good or only when it's bad to get. And so all of that really has to drop. And it is.
You know where that comes from? I want to stop you there for a minute because it's a great point. So I want people to hear this. What Arthy's saying, where this comes from is actually from the institutions. And it comes from the institution's career space. So remember, even in school, there's a lot of, if you share anything, there's a lot of bullying. When you get into careers, what do they say? Leave your crap at the door. So you're never, if you're having a divorce, if you're having a bad day, if you're having nobody should know about it. So they start, right? They wear their suits and their ties. They wear their little outfits that say, oh, look, I'm showing up. And it's all, like you said, it's positioning. So everybody starts positioning, oh, I'm not going to get the promotion if they know I have a bad day, or I'm not going to get the promotion. And there's a difference. And you know this clearly, you all do, between just the person that's like verbal diarrhea every day and the person that says, I really just need some help.
Or celebrate wins. And so for me, a little bit older than work, like for me, it's, like just even housewife style, like when before people worked, that idea of this is how you are in society and you cannot show any weakness. So when you are struggling with something, you disconnect from everyone around you, you isolate. And so your problems just seem, in the perspective of this tiny human body, so much bigger. And then you don't have this feedback loop that is always showing you that there are different ways. There are other ways. Ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. And so I had to move through that. I think maybe like the breaking point for me for that was maybe a couple years ago, where I remember doing all of the steps, but having none of the feeling and resisting it and fighting it. And then finally, I think that was one of the testimonials you ended up using. It was the one where I realized that I can do things myself, but I don't have to. And the joy and the speed of it is so quick. So your two-day weekends, I was listening to the one we did in January, and other people's problems are so relevant to the shifts, the change, like just, you're sad for them, you're happy for them, because it's so much easier to move through stuff together, also faster.
Yeah, I love it. It is so much easier. Mike, have you found that? Has it been so much easier to know that, like, when you're hearing other people speak in the evolutionary, or you're watching, can you voice to that what Arthy's saying?
And I think part of that comes with, I think it was a quote in your book. For me, you said to align yourself with people that are in your present, not aligning yourself with people from your past. Mm-hmm. And being in this community and aligning ourselves with like-minded individuals, I didn't understand the power, and I know you've said it in some videos of yours, the power of the energy of this group, right? I kind of understood the power that I held myself. But then when I gave myself permission to belong to the group or to the community and just share and be open and have all of this energy. So take my energy and then multiply that by 10, then multiply that by 100. So if I was able to do X, now I'm able to do X, Y, Z, and then some. And it's, I'm still doing it myself, but it feels like I've got an army along with me, helping me along the way, which that was, it was just something that I could never really put into a tangible thought until actually becoming a part of the community.
It's like a quantum field, right? So
Yeah.
it's just like me and mine, and then you and yours, and then it expands. And none of us, no one, I don't think anyone on the planet knows what quantum actually is, but it's so, we just
except us.
We feel it.
We feel it.
Feel it. And I think that's what Mike is talking about. So even in events where people aren't there, or people who listen to things after, they're still absolutely felt.
100%. Jen, what would you say to that?
I would say that 100%. And going back to what Mike said, this ties into where it says where two or more are gathered, the power of energy is really amplified. And it even doesn't matter where you're located. Because I could give an example of this. When Tracy teaches us that brain balancing tool at the workshops, and she says that we could do it remotely, I do it on my son every day. I make sure I do it on him after lunch, and you could tell the difference. On the days that I forget to do it, I'll see a little note. David is off. Then I'll go back and I'll do it. And if he forgets, he'll do his reset tool. Thank you, God, reset, let go. Thank you. He does it every morning before he goes. And he listens to his videos at night, and he likes it too, because he says, this is Auntie Tracy's group. This is Auntie Tracy's community. He calls her Auntie Tracy. Yes, this is the community. He loves it. Oh, are you guys going live now? He loves the energy of the group. So as a little child, that's feeling and acknowledging that he feels the benefit of all the energy work that goes out, and it's because of the amplification of the power of the group.
I love that. And this is part of where a lot of people know is moving to the non-denominational ministry and having that up should be this summer. Legal takes a while, but they're working. We got to be compliant to really expand that to children. That's part of what that mission is, right? Like people like David, that to expand that so they know what's going on in their bodies and they can handle things rather than just in the brain. And I love you said that, Jen, because it's so important. We were all those children. And I know I know for Jen and Mike, your children are those children, right? They're sensitive, they're empathic, and they're kind of going, where do I go? And a lot of the aware parents are like, we need somewhere. So that is, and I know there's so many things that with even David, which you have shared with, he likes his nighttime clearings and he understands, he feels it in the body. And 99.9% of children are feeling that. I want to, we're not going to take a break, guys. So just so you know, sorry if you thought you were going to take a break. We're not going to take a break. I want to keep the conversation going. I want to actually, because we have this half hour, and I want to throw it out to you. What do you guys feel? What do you want to say? What have you experienced? What is on your heart that you just say, I want to share that? I don't know, just whoever wants to go first. It doesn't matter.
Well,
okay.
If I can go first, I would just tag right along with what you just said. It's feeling, from a male perspective, we tend not to feel very much. We're very strong-minded, physical brute force. I mean, that's kind of how we march through our day. And if anything that I've learned through working with you and the community is to feel. And, when I talked about the energy of the group 6 months ago, I wouldn't have known what energy felt like. Right now, I feel it all the time. Like while we're talking, I can feel, I get chills. Before, I never would have made a connection to that's energy moving through my body. So for me, I think just that whole concept that there is this energy that I knew nothing about. And it's so powerful. And if you can harness that, you really can manifest and create anything you desire.
Yeah. And I love that, because this is the year where so many of us coming together, so many waking up around the world saying, we are moving to this new paradigm. We're in it. We're just kind of, like I said, I had to joke about the I won't get into too much of that political stuff, but the ships in the canal, it's like going through that birthing canal. Somebody said to me the other day, it's like the birth canal. And I'm like, it is. And, you know, no matter what's going on, like you just said, Mike, this is that place where you can harness and create and manifest so much no matter what's going on out there. And that's the whole idea as well that I've seen in my life. I know many of you've seen that if you're actually very connected with other like-minded people, it's easier, one, not to go down the rabbit hole of what's going on. You don't get sucked into what's going on out there, and you can stay more focused, more empowered to make your own decisions, because it's all about you being empowered, your own decisions to create in that world and create in that life. And I know I've watched you do that. And it can be challenging, right, at first, because your family, I know for me, friends and family are like, what are you doing? Or that's crazy, or is that cultish, or that's weird. It's like, or your conspiracy, but it's like, what is wrong with empowering you to make your own decision? But when you start to leave the paradigm that kept you stuck, that's the part of this work that people don't talk a lot about, because when you got to leave that paradigm. I heard this really crass billionaire, I won't say his name because he's too crass, but he was like, you got to ditch all their numbers because they got you into this dysfunctional place, which is true. He's true. He said it not that polite, but so I can't repeat his words, but it was very, very true that, you know, if we want to stay stuck, exactly, you stay with that space. But when you change, I know for all of us, there's pain in that, because either they're going to come along or not. But once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. Like, you become empowered. You want to read more. You want to explore more. You want to expand more. I just love to throw that out there and see what your guys' thoughts are on that.
So for me, it's what change feels like. And again, back to this idea that, you know, if someone has a health problem, the outcome of that is no more health problem, right? So it's very linear, like it's almost binary. There's health problem, no health problem, done. We are transformed. And it doesn't actually work like that. And that whole, you know, I will completely mess up this quote, but it's that quote from somewhere that says the transformation can happen quickly and suddenly, but most of the time it is in these slow, mundane, everyday moments where the outside thing isn't transformed, but your perception is flipped and you realize that it is actually your relationship to the health, the money, the other person that has changed. And there's suddenly more, peace, joy, spaciousness. That's the transformation. And what is breaking off, I think, all of the members of this community, and Tracy, I know you work with so many other people like Jennifer, Lucas, all of these and their communities as well. So it's not just, you know. No,
it's all of our communities coming together for sure.
Yeah. And the difference is, like, if you like a community, it's like-minded people and all of that, but I would maybe press that more, that it actually needs to be people who love you, where you feel loved, like-hearted. I don't know whatever the new word for that is. And that can be hard, because I don't feel like every single moment of every single day, I don't feel love from the community, but I have to then go back and see where my walls are, where my glass walls are that I can't see, that I don't know that they're there, but something is clearly hitting up against, and find that love within myself. Like, it's this very, I think Lucas Mack says this, it feels like a jellyfish moving through the ocean. So it's this expansion, contraction. And that happens every moment of every day. The pace is whatever the pace needs to be. It's slow sometimes, it's fast sometimes, it's sudden sometimes. And it's really, like you said, I found empowerment really scary. Like, I have always, and I think one of the first sessions I ever had with you, I asked you to, like, tell me what my life purpose is, so that you will tell me, go clean the oceans, and I'll just do that. And if it goes wrong, I can tell the world that it was your fault. Right? Like, I have no accountability. That's the safest, most ideal place for a very fear-based, terrified person to be.
And that's where most people, that's why they look out, and then that's what they think it is. And that's what I don't like to do that. I'm always like, go within. You have to, you got to have your compass moving. Like you got to go in and follow your compass and remove those layers. And knowing that love within you, when it grows and grows and grows, the more peace, more gentleness, then you just get that naturally. It just flows. You know, you feel the love from the earth, or you feel the love from your community, you feel the love from your friends, your family, whatever it is. So that changes. Jen, what's your thought on that?
My thought on this goes back to what Artie said before, that sometimes when you're going through the transformation, you don't actually see it yourself on the external. It's like you're taking an ice pick and you're chipping at the ice and you're not aware of it until it's totally gone. So in my experience of that, when I was working with you one-on-one, one of my biggest challenges was people pleasing and not putting myself first. And I worked at it. And I didn't realize that I had made such a big change on it until one day when I did the call-in show. And then you said, you know what? You've never seen this in my field so strongly before, that I was done with it. And I wasn't even aware that I was done with it. And I was so done with it at the time. So sometimes we don't necessarily see it in ourselves, but it's other people in our external world that are aware of the changes and let you be aware of them. And that's actually a very good thing.
It's extremely empowering. And one of the reasons that the body does that and we change within. So Arthur, you said this, it's like, yeah, I've had it myself. I've seen it with others where literally they wake up tomorrow and something's gone. But here's what people have to understand. For a lot of people, if that happens, their shock and trauma goes back to why when people win the lottery, do they lose it all? It's shock trauma into the system. Their vibration raises a bit. And then all these emotions come up, right? Everything comes up. And then they got to push it back because it's a reality that hit them so hard. They had no skills. So I always say spirit, God, universe, divine, God of your understanding is gentle that way and loving, that says, well, it's going to take you 10 years. Some people say, why has it taken that person 10 years? It took me 3 months. And they get all judgmental. And I'm like, don't get judgmental, because it's also, there's the way that the body is communicating with earth and spirit to make sure that you feel safe, and to make sure that the process, because I have seen it where things get ripped off people right away. And literally they think they're having heart attacks and stuff. They're in the hospital and the doctors are going, I don't see anything wrong with you. Like, what's going on? But the energetic field got so disturbed so fast that all of a sudden their energy is like 2 billion light years away. And the body is like, what am I doing? So I love what you guys are saying, because it's so true. That's why we call it the journey line. And if you had everything you wanted tomorrow, this is what people would forget. You'd be bored. And then you'd be going, okay, what next? What do I want to do now? Like, this is so boring. This is dumb. Like, okay, I have my perfect dream, whatever person. I have my house. I have my kids. I have my, whatever your money, whatever you've been creating, manifesting. And that would also sink in some boredom. So when it comes in stages, so then you can go, wow, okay, let me integrate this. And people are so conditioned to, let's get to the next. That didn't happen on my time. And they leave. I see this a lot with new people that come in and they're like, okay, that didn't all change tomorrow, so I'm going to leave. And then I hear like 6 months later, everything slid backwards. And I know for all of us, we've gone, okay, it didn't happen on our time, so I'm out of here. I know I did it. And then I went back. I'm like, back to my teacher. I was like, okay, I had my temper tantrum. I'm back again. But I realized it was my resistance and my expectation versus me actually changing. Mike, what do you think about that?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was how I had this thought of what my life was going to look like and how much money I was going to attain. And so I set forth and I bought my business and I, hired all these people. And 20 years later, as happy and as successful as I was, I did something completely out of the blue and sold my business. My wife took a sabbatical leave for a year and we moved to France for a year. After that year, we thought, man, that was pretty cool. Do we really want to go back to our old lives? No. Let's see if we can stay another year. So my wife and I just had this conversation yesterday. 2 years ago, roughly to the day, we were out for a walk, and I said, I feel like I need to be contributing to this family. Like I haven't worked in a year. I haven't brought any money in. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to support. I don't know where I belong in life. I don't know what my purpose is. And so I started asking these questions, and then lo and behold, your emails started trickling in. I started seeing you on Facebook, and I was like, okay, it's been way too long since I've been associated with you. So I reached out, and now 3 years later, I'm living the best life I've ever could have imagined for myself, better than, what I thought was possible. I mean,
I like what you said there, because you went in thinking, this is my life, right? I have it all. I have my business. I got my kids. I got my wife. Everything's all happy, like we were saying. And then it's like when you move, you realize, so your intuition was saying there's so many more possibilities you never thought of till you actually went there, right? Which then changed the trajectory. It changed your path, because now all these new doors have opened.
Yeah. And it's like you say all the time, like you're always saying even better, even better, even better, because what we can imagine, there's always something better out there yet. So don't put yourself into this little box, right?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. It's funny, somebody prophesized into my life probably about 2-3 weeks ago. She said something around my birthday, and I was like, and it clicked. I went like, you're the third person to say that, but it didn't really fully, even for me, we didn't fully register. And I'm like, even better. I am taking that and better. Like I do this stuff every day myself. Right. And I was like, but sometimes I love that too, because we all can get prophetic messages and inspirations and new doors opening by listening to what other people are also speaking around us. Like you said, better than what we can conceptualize. And when we walk in that path, and you're open, like Arthur was saying, when you're open and you're keeping your heart open, and you've got people going, yes, keep going. Yes, keep going. I know today's a crappy day, but keep going. Or today's an amazing day, keep going. That better shows up. And we're like, whoa, did that just happen? Jen, what do you say to that? And then I want to go to Arthur.
Yes, because the more you do the work, it becomes easier and easier and easier. It's just like if you manifest say you manifest a small cup of coffee, the next time you'll manifest lunch. So you just got to keep going and going at it. And as you said, you take the good stuff and you let go of the bad stuff, because I'm sure there's people out there that have made negative, I'm not going to say bad, negative prophecies over people. But as you would say, release that, let go, take the good ones and amplify it, and trying to be in a spirit of joy at all times. Because when we are in a spirit of joy and play like, it's so much easier to manifest, because then your mind is at a different frequency. Life flows easily or easier than when you're stuck. Because when you're in that low mood, you feel stuck. It's very hard to change your perspective. And that's another great thing to know, to change the perspective. So if it seems like you're in a bad situation, try and find the pluses and the positives out of it.
I really like that. I wrote something on my Instagram the other day that it takes a lot of energy to live in fear, to censor yourself, to like you. And Arthur, I would love your feedback on that. When you start to wake up and you have these different points of view, and we're all actually still going through now. I'm like, whatever. So with what's going on in the world, to say, I want to share how I feel. And remember those times you were at school or you were at work or with friends, and you're censoring yourself because you don't want to have that back, that feedback that, oh, okay, now this whole thing around woke society. And I'm going to say it, if you're woke, you're asleep. And people, I'm going to keep saying it because I don't care. I'm not going to hold that back anymore. However, it's a difference between being awake. If you went back 10 years ago, I would have still censored and said, well, what do they think? Oh my gosh, I better not say this. And I'm mad. Like, if you can go back to that, even Arthur, I'd love to get your point of view in this. Like, I go back to that energy. I'm like, whoa, my body was so tense. And I was in fear that I was going to get this backlash. I might not be liked. And, now I don't care. But can you speak to that?
I mean, like, I think this goes back to, like any Buddhist tradition where letting go and surrender is one of the hardest things, right?
It is.
If I give you a problem, like a mathematical problem, and I think Mike alluded to this, right? So like that masculine side of us that exists in all of us, regardless of gender, it's like, oh, here's a problem. And we take brute force, either physical or mental, because our mental abilities are like through school and just through life are more valued, I guess, than anything else, right? Mm-hmm. So we just attack this problem with whatever, brute force, and we're used to that. And then life doesn't show up how we wanted it to, or it does, and we're still unsatisfied. And so we find communities like yours, or and then the work there is what you say, come down from the head and into the heart. So whether it's meditation or there's so many people who play musical instruments in the community, whatever it is that they do, you're coming back into the heart. And when you're down there, you'll, it's all well and good for me now to say, oh yes, open heart, because I know when something happens that really breaks my heart, I now have a process, a structure, a community, safe spaces within my home, within my being, my body, within the community to sort that, figure it out. And just the knowing that, I'm from the earth, so I'll heal, I'll repair, regenerate. So that's great. But a few years ago when I didn't know that, my, heartbreaking, or when I broke my foot or whatever else I broke, it's the end of the world. And there's a grieving process. And I don't think being sad about it or depressed, or grieving through it is a bad thing. It's a process. It is actually in your life, you are experiencing heartbreak, bone broke, someone left, you lost your job, like all of that. And so, as if you're watching a movie, like these are just the experiences you have. And then that feels very uncomfortable because it's just horrifying. And the point, I think, is always coming back to that center. And then from your heart, these words will then, come up that you would resonate as true, or that resonate within you as true. And yes, I'm all for taking in what other people are saying, and, prophecies are spoken into us. But there is this discernment where when someone says the right words, but the intention isn't right.
100%. 100%.
Words like what you just quoted, like the billionaire, right? He said something, maybe he swore and used harsh words, but the intention of what he's saying is correct. And to
100%.
To self and others through the intention of what is being said. Because in my silliness or excitement, if I say something like, oh, you look younger, but somehow it comes across mean, but you'll get that my intention was to compliment you. And that's politically correct word stuff is it disempowers everyone. And like you said, like so much of the words are associated with shame and fear. Yeah. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back.
It really does. And it's exactly it when you come down into that heart space. So a few things that happen, and I know you guys have seen this, is that you can get through that issue quicker. So it doesn't mean you're not grieving or you're not sad. You just get the tools, like you said, to move through it quicker. And you understand what the intention is behind what they're saying. Exactly. I didn't judge him for even how he said it. I just can't repeat it. It's true. What he said was true, but on air, they'd shut me off right away. I can't speak those words here. I'm not allowed. And I don't speak them anyways, but it is really true. Have you noticed that, Mike? Like, do you get through when something comes up? Do you notice now your ability to get through it quicker? Like Arthur was saying, is a lot faster than it would have been before?
It's almost instantaneously now. Like, obviously the big things take a few, more tries at it, but some of the stuff that used to, slap me in the face and just get me agitated or upset, man, I can move through it with just that. Thank you, God, reset, let go, 3 seconds. And I'm okay with it. And then dealing with other people now is different. Maybe I did judge people in the past, or maybe I looked at what they were doing and just kind of criticized. Now I realize they're on their own journey. It's not for me to say whether it's right or wrong. Just, God bless you. And I hope your journey is on the direction that you want it to go. And I have no input on that. And I think that's one of the other big things for me has been, like you said, when we have the people that we surrounded ourselves with in the past, sometimes we would succumb to their visions, their views, their thoughts, their words, their actions, and their power. And then we're not living our authentic selves. And so then the question is, well, then whose life are you living? Are you living it based on their perceptions? Or do you really want to step out and break the mold and live your life? And this literally just came to me today. Not many people know this about me. I'm a big, huge country music fan. But my favorite song of all time that just makes me almost cry is I Did It My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Oh, I love that song.
And the more I listen to it, it just tells me you break out of the mold, do it your way. Don't care what anybody else says. It's not for them to judge either. Just go and do it.
I love that you said that, because it's true. And so often we are living the lives of our parents or our aunts, uncles, grandparents, whatever we've seen. And I'm really happy you brought that up. And yeah, it's funny. We were watching a show the other day, a comedy, and Frank Sinatra was in it. And, the guy was like all excited, and that's what he was singing. And now you're saying it. I'm like, that's such a good song, like it just goes back to the basics. But it's true, like living your life your way, and that's just to be empowered. It's that speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. And I love the fact that you said instant. I love our reset, let go tool. Spirit's always guiding us in the right direction. All right. So we are almost at the top of the hour. I'm going to go with Jen, and we'll go to Arthi, and then back down to Mike. I'd like to know what do you want to leave people with? What, it can be anything. I don't care. What do you want to leave them with before we have to sign off? I know it goes fast.
My 3 words are never give up. Just keep going. If one way doesn't work, look for the creative solution, but never give up. There is always light at the end of the tunnel.
I love that. Never give up. Yeah. And then it's like that extra saying, right? Because you're on the brink of a miracle. Most people give up before that miracle comes through. And you, Jen, are a real testament of many miracles. And, I want to just actually bring this up quickly. I know it's okay, but your daughter that was going to move out, never moved out. Well, she will eventually, but yeah. She dived into the work, and both your children are such a big reflection of you and helping so many people around them like you in a good way, in a way with boundaries, and their intuition is so strong because you as a mother have led them on that way. And you've also allowed them to be free, to be who they are, and love them to be free to who they are. And it's so beautiful to see how you guys have grown together over the years. And she just became so empowered. And it's because you took the lead and you never gave up. And you kept leading by example, and then they would show you back, right? Like they would mimic that back to you. So I want to bless you with that, because so often we're looking at what we did, but you've changed their lives. They've changed their lives together as a family, which now sends a whole new ripple effect into the universe going forward.
And sorry, I've been at workshops where, Jen, your entire family is there and you've been so unwell. We've had to bring pillows and, I was in those, actually, and it's really funny to be in the presence of such integrity and such commitment. Like I used to be the person that if I had a headache, the whole world could go blow up and I have a headache. Like it's so really, really self-involved. And for you to bring your young child, your older daughter, I think your cousin, or it was always such a pyramid. And to be around that showed me where I lived out of integrity.
Wow. Beautiful.
I just want you to know, this is what you've done for everyone, those 100 people, event after event.
You don't even realize the ripple effect. This is what I love about this, right, Jen? You don't even realize the ripple effect. And I just am so grateful you shared that, Arthi, because it's so empowering.
Thank you so much.
What would you like to share quickly before we go, Arthi, before we get to Mike and we're told we have to go? Time to go. It goes fast.
I would actually love for anyone listening to this, can we just all take a breath together and integrate this, all of this, this 1 hour plus everything else? So everyone can take a deep breath, as deep in your body as you can. Let it all go. And just have fun with your breath.
I love it. I love it. And let it all go. What a message there. Let it all go, because this is going to keep turning. Our time here is short. Let it all go and keep empowering yourselves. I love that. And the breath is huge. Well done.
And we all breathe.
We all breathe. Well, I said in my book, we take breathing for granted, but if we don't breathe, we're not getting up out of bed the next day. So we're done. We're done. Mike.
I would just say to people, no matter what challenges or struggles you're facing right now, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. So pat yourself on the back for showing up and just love yourself. If you love yourself, you'll find a creative solution to get through it.
Yeah, no judgment, right? I think that's the big thing people are learning right now in a world that's become, I want to leave this with people, food for thought. The world may appear to be dividing, because when old energies that don't serve us, that's what happens. You've seen it in your old world. When you've changed and shifted, you feel this division. The reality is, if you actually look at the energy, the reality is more people than ever before are actually coming together. So that's an illusion. Just like, when Arthur, we were talking about the intention of what's really happening. This is the illusion that's sort of being played out, that this year, I know without a shadow of a doubt, the more of us that are all coming together, our communities, April 22nd, you will see the summit with Lucas Mack and Jennifer and I want you to know that. Like I said, April 7th, why are we doing the summit with Jeremy? We're bringing communities of people together to say, how can we keep empowering each other? And this is what I love about all three of you and so many more in the communities. I'm watching you every day empower each other. I hear how you said, I did this for this person, or I was able to do this for this person. And it's not it's not positioning like, look at me. It's not that. What I love about the three of you and so many people I see, it's how can we keep coming together around the world, no matter where we are in the world, because that empowerment right now, and this is what this last weekend is, that fire that's in our bellies of our intuition got bigger, got more fueled from spirit. I have chills from head to toe, because it is saying we are strong when we're together in numbers, and none of us are separate from each other. But the more we share, that's why I want to call this the friendship hour. I think I want to change everything to the friendship hour, like everything.
Relationship. I think my biggest thing was when I realized that my life was the outward expression of my relationship to myself. Yeah. So it's easy for me to be like, oh, I'm dating you, or you're my mom, and to make our problems seem like on you, the whole projection thing. And you've worked with me and a little bit with familial stuff on that. Yeah. And so if my life is my relationship with self, so my money, my words, my voice, my friends, then I actually do want to take the time to nourish myself. And that is what love is, right? Yeah. Like it's not a feel, like it can be a feeling, but it's that we are vibrating from this space that animates and flows through you and me and the plants and the animals and every single thing. And so it's just a coming back and the reminder of how expansive and incomprehensible that is.
It is. It's beautiful, beautiful. So I want to remind everyone, go to the Instagram, Tracy L. Clark, as we're going to sign off here. I want to thank all of you. So April 7th, join us for that summit. April 22nd, you'll see the link for the next summit. Next week, I don't even know. What is the day? Oh, next week we have Lucas Mack joining us. I remember what day is it, so he will be back. So thank you, everybody, for joining. I love you all. I am so happy you're here. And check us out again, tracylclark.com, the Miraculous Academy, the Evolutionary Academy. But, even if you're on the free stuff, we're just here to help you, love you, support you, and let you shine. That's what it's about. So have an incredible week, everyone. And I will see you here, same time, same place.
Thank you for listening to the Tracy L. Clark Show with me, Tracy L., where I teach you how to connect to the God consciousness so you can unlock your superpowers and connect at light speed and live your extraordinary life. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where together we will unlock the secrets of your body and your life. As the founder of the Body Regeneration Academy, I, Tracy L., will provide you with the insight and simple tools you can apply right now in your life to move you forward and leave the past in the dust. To join the Body Regeneration TLC Online Academy, make sure you check me out at tracyLclark.com.
Views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the station, its management, or advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.